It's hip hop, R&B, Breakfast Club, and soca.
Yeah.
We got the king of soca, Machel Montano, in the building.
Yes, sir.
And I'm gonna say this, and you know when I say something, that's it. The world's greatest entertainer.
I'm working on that.
No, Machel, please.
I'll take that.
Let's
today.
have the discussion. As two men who've traveled and seen and all these different things. You know, you have people with big songs, you have people with all the lights, camera action, all that good stuff. There's nobody that I have personally witnessed. I mean, Elephant Man could come a little close, but there's nobody that I've witnessed that commands a stage with energy for hours like Machel Montano. You have that, sir.
I mean, it's a relationship between, me and the people, the kind of audience, the kind of music that we do, this culture, soca music, that involvement and that connection. But a lot of what you see me doing, I learned from people like Michael Jackson, and I learned from Frank Sinatra, I learned from Sparrow, Kitchener. I study the greats, and I kind of just try to be an entertainer, how to entertain people, and I guess that's what you're feeling. But I mean, I'm still a student. I still learning, and I think I have a lot to achieve. And ever since I turned 45, I decided that I'd be 1 year old on that day. So right now I'm about 5 years old. So, I'm in preschool, kind of coming out ready to go primary school. I'm still learning and expanding. But I'll take it because I guess, I've been honing that craft to kind of communicate with the audience and give them a show where they feel the music, but they understand the relationship of us being in the same space, talking and vibes in and feeling the message.
And listen, it's okay if the student passed the teacher. It happens. You know what I mean? It's okay.
one day for student, one day for teacher.
Talking about that, those who follow your career know that there was at one time the biggest scare in soca. We thought that you were retiring. You know what I mean? Going up in the mountains, monk, that was it. You're leaving it to the others to have and stuff like that. And I'm glad it's not that, right? But what was that period like? For those who want to understand.
Let's first understand, where did that come from?
Yes, okay.
I don't know where that came from. I never said that.
No, but that was, but you're right. You never said that, but that's what the people assumed. That's what maybe when they saw your actions in certain ways, they thought that this was it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the reality of life is everything that is built up must break down. So there must be an end. There must be a time when Machel just run into the curtains and, run into the sunset. And people feel that after having such a long career. I've been doing this for 43 years. You know what I'm saying? And counting. And still every year I could renew it. So people always sense it at milestones. And I think that came from when I said no more Machel Monday. When I closed the curtain on Machel Monday in 2020, got married, everybody was like, oh boy, that's it. They was pissed off at my wife. Everybody was feeling like, she taking them off the field.
Yeah.
Boom, boom. But people didn't understand. I have been consistently closing doors. When we had Alternative Concept, I closed that door and went to Machel Monday. And then I closed that door and go to something else. And that's how you reinvent yourself. So every end for me is a new beginning, a new chapter. And I mean, what we've been doing in the last 5 years is like remarkable with soca music, selling out Barclays, UBS Arena, coming right here in Miami, working with, Gen X and Burna Boy and working all these different brand new looks for soca music.
Yes.
Big records. So for me, it's always, what does a leader like Machel Montano have to do, not just to stay relevant, but to stay on the tip of the spear and stay inspiring the young brothers and the full-blowns and the Kesses and the Bungee Garlands and everybody who, learn from me and is flying that flag in their own way. I have to keep setting new goals and standards and inspiration for them.
I want to touch that too, because you have been doing that. And I don't think you quite get the credit. I think, especially with Trinidadians, they get moody. So 1 minute they're feeling so, next minute they're feeling so, right?
Yeah.
I've personally witnessed over the years you take artists under your wing.
Yeah, man.
And take them to shows with you and to perform with you. I've seen it as a host.
For sure.
So I ain't asking, you know what I mean? So when, the whole thing now with you winning the chutney song, and some people were like Marsha get everything. Like, what is wrong with like if it's good or if you deserved it, you getting it? Why should you have to dumb yourself down? You know what I mean? And in their cry this is kind of twofolded. And in their cry of wanting the younger, newer artists to have an opportunity, how does that become your fault or responsibility?
You know, when you're around long enough, you have a higher view, you have like a higher distance above, and you could see a longer line of patterns. These things are just recurring patterns.
Mm.
And when you have social media now, everybody has a voice, everybody has an opinion, but not much of them have the length and breadth of experience or history or knowledge. So first of all, they'll be mouthing off and saying things in their immediate feelings. Like he been around, he been doing this, and he should give youths a chance, and he don't bring out nobody. I hear a lot of blogs and people going on there saying Machel them don't do nothing for nobody. But two of the top soca artists in the game, Patrice Roberts and Farmer Nappy, some of the biggest earners, most consistent, great catalog, came out of Machel Montano's camp and development. Direct results. But there are also some indirect results. People like Kess, people like Kerwin Dubois, who Kess used to open for every Machel AC concert from the very second or third one. And I made that a point. People like Kerwin Dubois, when he was coming out, we did Bubble Nut, then he did remixes of Jumbie, he did remixes of, Scandalous. He worked with me and he was learning how to produce and how to write and perform under me. And these are some of the main players in the soca business today. And I'm just saying that's the direct ones.
Yeah.
Indirectly, a lot of people follow my lead and my pattern. So there's a lot that I am doing for the industry that mightn't look like, oh, he bringing them out on stage or he signed them to his label or something like that, and I do a lot of that also.
Yeah, Skinny,
so really,
others, yeah.
Skinny Fabulous is one who, if you watch his career, how it was curated is from him writing with me, performing with me, doing big shows, and there's multiple of that. So really and truly, that could be the narrative if you're just following blogs right now today and you're on the internet and you could get caught up in that.
Right.
People like me, I don't get caught up in that. I know what I have to do every single day. I know what the truth is, and I have been that person who has been working with all the talent. When you look at the road marches of Machel Montano, from 11, which is on par with Lord Kitchener, you will find Travis have a road march. Travis will have one. Pops, who wrote Savannah Grass, he has one. Casey Phillips has one. Colonel Roberts has one. Deputy, who did Bitch Better Have My Money for Rihanna, he has one. Kyle, who's Casey's younger brother, he has one. Mevon, who just gone, he has one. I have the most road marches with the most young producers and writers in the game. And, therefore, Machel is the common denominator. But it's the work that I put in with these youths and I help them and they have went on to become big producers in the game, full-blown entertainment, who have Greatest Ben over the greatest soca record for 2025, work with me since 2012 on Like a Boss, Vibes Can't Done, Fog, you name it. But who was working with them consistently, kind of showing them, guiding them business-wise, creative-wise, listening to their ideas, learning from them. It's a two-way street. So really and truly, it depends on what narratives you look at and understand that the work is being done and we're getting where we're trying to get every day and we're getting closer to the real objective.
Well said, legend. And honestly, I wanted to lend that opportunity to address those things, hopefully once and for all.
Yeah, man.
All
and
right?
I mean, right now, a lot of people making excuses for why they're not getting through. A lot of artists used to come with cutlass blades outside radio stations because they're not getting their music played. I wasn't getting my music played. I had to come with rum to give the radio guy rum in 1986 for him to play my song.
Right.
And then it had a time when I decided, look, I don't want to have no friends in radio. I want them to be calling me for my record. My record had to be so smoking that they need it for their radio station. And that was my modus operandi, what I adopted and became that kind of guy. Always have the smoking hits that the radio station want. Sometimes when I put on Soca Kingdom and release that, it play on radio for an hour.
Right.
Party did the same thing in 2025 again for an hour because the record was so hot and so fresh and so new. So a lot of the young talent making excuses of why they're not getting through because this one not giving them the chance and this radio don't want to play their music. And that to me is the survival of the fittest. Those who keep complaining and keep making those excuses, they will keep having that struggle. The
Mm.
others will be wise enough to figure it out and know that it's about the work and it's about your strategy and no story. My story is not your story. The way I do it is not how you're going to do it. Figure out if you have to go on the block and sing for your friends free every night, or if you have to go and sing with Machel every night. Figure out your way. And once you get in that lane and you're doing the good work, everything will blossom.
Well said again, my brother. Thank you so
Big
much for
man.
dropping these gems. You're a legend, brother. No, seriously, man. And
You're
I'm
making me feel old.
yeah, no, not at all, man. You're a young legend, all right?
Yeah. Living legend. You don't know.
But it's just full time that people really absorb what you're saying here and just have an understanding because I myself tired of defending certain things. You know what I mean? So I'm so glad that you addressed it. I want to get to one more personal thing, and then we get to the good other stuff.
Yeah, man.
How's mommy?
Mommy is fine. I talk to my mom every day. She's just as excited. She just did King of Soca, the book that she actually churned out or charted the 4 decades of my career. 'Cause
Wow.
she has been instrumental in
Yes.
that. She called herself the drone. So she's be hovering over everything that we do. But she has laid out sort of like an academic account of Machel Montano and the career and the music and the industry, the performing. That is like a piece of textbook work or for curriculum for young people who really want to study the history of soca music from calypso to soca and how Machel Montano played a role
Yes.
in that development. And
Which you absolutely did.
and she's doing book tours. She's going to Toronto. She's going to Barbados. She went to Jamaica. So
Nice.
she's doing that on her own levels.
Yes, she's an amazing woman, an icon. Talking about books, you have your book, of course.
My book is not written yet. My book will be called Machel Montano, Between a Rock and a Star. Between a rock and a star. Because some days I feel like the biggest thing in soca music, but you could step out and go into BT Awards and nobody know you.
Wow.
You're on this little rock here, these islands that we on.
Yes.
We're trying to make it outside. We're trying to be as big as Rihanna. We're trying to be as big as.
So talking about that, because you're bringing up a really good point, and I had a discussion on a podcast about it. And I was suggesting that soca should be a year-round music instead of a seasonal music if it really wants to have an opportunity to see what reggae sees and see what pop sees and see what rap sees. What's your perspective on it?
Well, always seek to be understood before you seek to understand before you seek to be understood.
Right.
So understand what soca music is before you say what it should be.
Mm-hmm.
Because soca music is the soundtrack of Carnival.
Yes, it is.
People need that fuel to jump. That is the pipe piper. That is what make people, know what they have to do, or that's what reflects what they do when they do play mass.
Mm-hmm.
But there will be some level of separation that need to happen for soca to come away from just being all about Carnival and being about everyday life, love and struggle and just like reggae and just like hip hop and just like R&B. And that is slowly happening. And
You're hearing it.
It has been happening, and nothing happens before its time.
Gotcha.
Soca was born in 1974, the same year I was born, coincidentally. Rashotiai, you know what I'm saying? And around that time, people will say it's not exactly that year, but it is that year. And it's still developing slowly, but there is something that is in its way. It's a blessing and a curse. It is heavily reliant on Carnival, and all the artists want to get big during the carnivals, and then from the time Trinidad Carnival finish, you're in Jamaica, Barbados, St. Lucia, Grenada, St. Vincent, New York, Miami, and you're back in Trinidad again. So you're constantly in that cycle. It's very tough for some of the artists to step out and do something globally and look at the world and look at daily life and talk about daily life, because they're constantly trying to bring the next hit to put food on the table, and they have to be big during the carnival. If you miss a carnival and you're not big, then you could almost be forgotten. You know what I'm saying? So I think that soca could be that global music that you're saying, or could be that every year all around. It is happening slowly, and it is happening to where there is a unity happening where a lot of us would put out records for crop over.
Yes.
And when we putting out crop over records, now we considering, okay, when to put it out so that it worked for St. Vincent, it worked for crop over, and then we putting out Grenada records. And then these records coming back into Trinidad Carnival early in September as the early batch. And then you have a late batch. So now that we're thinking like this, a lot of the records cross-pollinating. While that is happening, there is also another blessing curse vibe happening where a lot of the other carnivals trying to grow up on their own. Grenada Carnival trying to compete and be strong. Jamaica Carnival trying to be the best. Crop over trying to survive. So a lot of the artists kind of going towards Barbados first, or Jamaica first, or Grenada first. And there is this sort of just like America first. You know how we're thinking right now, America first? When we're not thinking like global citizens anymore. We're thinking of protect our own ends. And in soca music, that is happening. But it still also is desirable to get a big hit from Grenada Carnival and tour the whole circuit like Blessings, like Black Adam with Blessings. People still looking for those records, and a lot of the records, if you watch carnivals this year, don't have passports. We say they don't have passports because what was the road march in St. Lucia this year? Tell me.
I can't even.
Mr. Radio Man. What was the road march in Grenada this year? Tell me.
Can't tell you.
What was the road march in Antigua?
Can't tell you.
None of them have passports.
Right.
And that's a dangerous thing that nobody looking at. I am the one looking at it because I always say I'm the daddy, you know. I come like the real children. I pay attention to all my children. I am a Caribbean artist. I have been accepted. I will step foot in Jamaica and they say, what happened, artist? It'll happen in Barbados because I always embrace these cultures and treat them like my home. I went to school for the first time in Jamaica. First time ever in life. I went to Mona Prep. You understand? And I live in Grenada and I live in Barbados. So there is something that is happening. There is a positive that is happening, but you can't go to work in the morning without your car battery, and it must have negative and positive to go.
Right.
So you have to like look at these things and wait and just work with it. And the work that we're doing right now, what we come into Miami for One Link, what we're trying to do is to broaden our sense of limited perception. We don't want to only be Caribbean. We don't want to only be Trinidad or Grenada or Barbados or Jamaica. We want to be a genre of music that is about unity and love and joy. And take that to the Gaza.
Yes.
That's the end game.
Do you think that, because you were onto something too, because I almost used to think at one point the gateway also was through EDM,
right?
Which you've also had that experience as well, and you see Bungie had some success with differentology with that because of the beat patterns and the BPMs, the similar.
The first thing is the four on the floor, the house.
Yes.
That was the marriage back then.
Yes.
I took that, I put a little Jamaican or Carolina, I put a little arrow, when last year been to party, and I made Come Dig It.
Yes.
Come Dig It. Come and dig it. King, it had all those elements. So, and then Bungie, and then what Diplo and Major Lazer been doing, and we've been getting many looks, but EDM has done its curve and its cycle, and EDM was that music that would be very close to soca, where it's love and joy and togetherness and leave the world behind. Forget your problems. You know, it's not reggae music where poverty and stress. It's not hip hop where the boys on the block. Is that forget you have rent to pay. Come and jump in this man, you know. So as I say, life is not only that. People need to talk about struggle. People need to talk about survival. People need to talk about current issues. And I mean, that is just what will have to happen in soca next.
Absolutely. Machel, this has been great. Listen, One Link Music Festival.
Yeah, man.
We're very excited about this. The station's very excited to be a part of it. And to your point of just bringing the genres of music and marrying them together, I think One Link is a perfect example of that. And out of all the places, it's really good for here in Miami because we speak to that, right? We have so many Jamaicans and Haitians and Trinis and Bajans that all love to party together, and all of the similar artists that's going to be on that bill. You know, and for you to be one of the headliners for that show, I think it really, showing that the promoters understand that.
Yeah, I mean, the city of Miami and Miami Carnival in particular is legendary. I don't think people understand the importance of the history and the development and the role it has played. People the whole of New York used to leave New York to come to Miami for Miami Carnival. That was their only time because they're in the sun and they could rent a nice car and they could put on certain clothes. And and all the islands will come here. And so Miami has played a pivotal role in the development of soca, just like New York.
Mm-hmm.
But also in this time, it's about that melting pot.
Yeah.
We have bouillon music on the rise.
Yes.
The Virgin Islands crew, the VI crew, so the Dominica VI, Grenadians, everybody coming here for that final carnival before Trinidad. Well, y'all can't claim that no more because Tobago now entered the chat. Tobago has entered the chat. But I mean, Miami is Miami.
Right,
you know what I'm saying?
right.
People want to roll around in the whips. People want to be downtown. People want to be rolling from fete to fete to fete.
Yeah.
And I just think that this is the time where we all make that link up. We link up here. So this One Link Festival is representative of that. But it's also a stepping stone for, we want to take it just above the normal fetting to like all of us link up in this one place to have a music festival in line with the Ultras and in line with the Malis and in line with big festivals where Caribbean music could melt together. You could have Zest with Lady Lava. You could have the Topper Dancehall, which is like 450 and Massacre. You could have the Topper Soca, which is Machel and Skinny Fabulous. You could have Shensia.
Yes.
I like to say Sensia. Sensia by me.
Yes.
but for real, I mean, the philosophy is working together with the promoters and understanding that now is a time to take big risks, but to kind of bring us together in a place that is fitting for that. And there's no other place fitting like Miami, at Miami Carnival, to be there on that stage. We be linking soca music's biggest and brightest stars and the emerging sounds of soca with some of the biggest and brightest in the dancehall world. There's a dancehall revival happening right now. Big up yourself, Cartel, Buju Banton, Bounty Killer, and I'm saying we're doing that in a festival time, in a festival way. Miami Carnival is a blessing. I just feel like I need to be there, and I'm grateful that I can still be around and be a factor and contribute. But to see it, just to see it and be part of it is a joyful thing. One link.
Listen, they can't go wrong, Machel Montano. And listen, I see a Machel Burner Boy already. That's my personal opinion. I was there to witness. And listen, we're going to be at Bayfront Park this Miami Carnival weekend for
I need
One
to
Link.
mash up Burner Boy sales.
Yeah. I like that.
Yeah.
All right, so we come in for that. So please, everyone, make sure you get your tickets to One Link Music Festival. Shout out to Gen X, Taj, the whole team putting this together. Marshall on the bill, of course. You can also win your tickets here at 103.5 The Beat, but definitely make sure you have your place in history for that One Link Music Festival going down.
This is the beginning.
Yeah.
One Link, the beginning
Yes.
of something that is going to change history, and it's history in the making. So don't miss it. Just come out, and all islands, the whole world we inviting right now.
That's what's up. You heard it from the king of soca, the world's greatest entertainer, the one and only Monk, Mr. Machel Montano. I love you, sir. I'm so proud of you. From the Seville.
Pete,
look out.
you don't understand how proud I am of you. I know this youth, struggling as a youth, loving what he do. But there's nothing like loving something but staying focused and building and taking each rung of the ladder to be more professional and more committed. And I just grateful for that because, I mean, you were right there.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I'm glad I was right there to see it, man. And thank you for all your contributions. I know you have so many awards and accolades, but just a personal thank you, personal gold roses for all that you have done for not just soca music, just music and entertainment in general, man, and just so many people who look up to you and appreciate all the contributions you have made.
Just understand this. Everything you're saying to me is like you're talking to a mirror. I say it right back to you because we've been putting in the work together and we here. What can we do now together? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, man.
One link.
One link.
Don't know.